Today I'm part of a collab hosted by Val over at the Valerie Reese channel. She wanted us to come up with some barbecue recipes that would get us through the end of summer gatherings that are headed our way. And I've got the perfect solution for you here. This is my take on an Alabama white barbecue sauce. Tangy and delicious. So if you're looking for a different type of barbecue sauce, or maybe a lighter version of one you've already had, stick around because I'm going to show you how to make this coming up next. Hello and welcome to my kitchen. My name is Roy. I'm a home cook and amateur baker, and I'm here on this channel sharing recipes that have helped me to lose over 125 pounds, whether those recipes are mine or someone else's. Now today's recipe is part of a collab started by Val over at the Valerie Reese channel. So her channel and all of the other participants are going to be linked down in the description box. So check out those other channels for other barbecue related recipes, because Val decided that this month she wanted to do a collab called Barbecue with me. And one recipe I'd wanted to do for a while was Alabama white barbecue sauce. So I thought this was obviously the perfect time. Now I was going to make some chicken to put it on and things like that. I'm just going to make the sauce today, but you'll have all sorts of options in the recipe on how to use it. Plus, it's a little dreary outside today, so not exactly barbecue weather. So what exactly is Alabama white barbecue sauce? Well, first of all, let's go over the types of barbecue sauce that are typically available. I think the most prevalent is the tomato-based barbecue sauces. Those are the ones I think the majority of the country are more used to, that red, tangy barbecue sauce. Then there are some mustard-based barbecue sauces. There are vinegar-based barbecue sauces. And then there's this one, which is a mayonnaise-based barbecue sauce. But it didn't exactly start out that way. This was invented in 1925 by a guy named Robert Lee Gibson. He opened up some restaurants called Big Bob Gibson's Barbecue. And in 1925, he came up with this recipe, basing it on an Eastern North Carolina barbecue sauce, which is vinegar-based. Now, he added mayonnaise to the North Carolina barbecue sauce because he felt it paired well with the pork and helped to hold in some of that smokiness, some of that flavor that he got from his pulled pork. So that's how this came to be. And I decided to find a way to lighten it up, not using as much mayonnaise and using light mayonnaise instead. But before I get too far ahead of myself, let's go over the ingredients. I have here 2/3 cup of light mayonnaise. I'm using Hellmann's, which in other parts of the country goes by the name Best Foods. So that's the one I'm using, but obviously anyone you use will work. You just need to maybe adjust for bites or points depending on which one you're using. Here I have 1/3 cup of non-fat Greek yogurt. Now the Greek yogurt and the mayonnaise are at room temperature so that they will combine more easily. And the Greek yogurt is going to allow me to take out some of the fattier mayonnaise, the more bite or point heavy mayonnaise, and use some 0 bite, 0 point Greek yogurt as kind of like a filler. But there's a lot of tang in this, so you won't even really notice. Here I have 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar, speaking of tang. And as I said, this was based on a North Carolina vinegar-based barbecue sauce. So you obviously need some vinegar in there. You could use regular white vinegar, but I think the apple cider vinegar definitely gives it a nice depth of flavor that really does enhance the sauce. Here I have 1 tablespoon of brown sugar replacement. You could use a tablespoon of regular brown sugar and it won't really affect the bites or points too much. and it will just slightly affect the calories and macros. Here I have 1 tablespoon of spicy brown mustard. Now you could use Dijon in place of that. You could maybe even get away with yellow mustard, although I haven't tried that. But I like the spicy brown because of that little hint of spice in the background. I really think it helps with this dish. And speaking of spice, I have here 2 teaspoons of prepared horseradish, usually in a jar in the refrigerated section. I often find it by like the butters and things like that. I'm not exactly sure why, but that's where I often find it. Now you could do without it. I've seen some recipes that use Worcestershire sauce instead, but I really like that little bit of heat that the horseradish is going to give this barbecue sauce. Here I have 1/2 teaspoon of ground pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. And the cayenne is optional, but you really don't get more than a hint of a little spiciness. It's not going to be overpoweringly spicy. So those are the ingredients. Let me just shuffle a couple of things around and we'll get started. Now I did fail to mention that I do have some water standing by. I'm going to add probably about 1/4 cup just to thin this out a little bit, because between the stabilizers in the mayo and the thickness of the Greek yogurt, it does get a little thick, and I want it a little thinner so that it's easier to spread. So I do have the water standing by, but this is going to go together pretty quickly. I'm going to add in my mayonnaise and the Greek yogurt, and I'm just going to whisk these two together just to get them homogeneous before I add in any of the other ingredients. Okay, now I'm going to add in the vinegar, and I am going to whisk this in before I whisk in any of the other ingredients, simply because when you are incorporating a liquid into something that's more dense, you want to do it gradually, and if I added everything at once, I'd have a mess on my hands. So I'm just going to gradually stir this around with my whisk and get that vinegar incorporated in here. And once there's no more vinegar pooling around the edges, I will whisk a little more vigorously. Okay, so now we're just going to add in the rest of the ingredients: the mustard, horseradish, brown sugar, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, and cayenne. And then I'm just going to break up that brown sugar a little bit and whisk everything to combine. And now you can see it is rather thick, and so while I could use this as a dip right now or something like that, which is delicious, I am going to add a little water because I want it a little more spreadable. So I'm just going to start with about 2 tablespoons or so of water, and again gradually whisk that in so you don't get water and everything splashing all over. Okay, so with 2 tablespoons of water, that is pretty close to what I want. I may add just a smidge more just to get it slightly looser, but I'm not going to add much more than that. You can do this to your preference. Okay, and there you have it, my Alabama white barbecue sauce. Now, this can be used on all sorts of things. You can take this and mix it with some shredded cabbage and make a nice, tangy, slightly spicy coleslaw. It's delicious. You can use it on burgers, on sandwiches, on chicken, on pork. You can also use this as a dip for vegetables. This is very versatile. You can use it a number of ways, and I will list a number of those ways in the recipe on my blog. So that's all there is to it. Now, before I go over the nutrition facts, I do want to thank Val from Valerie Reese for coming up with this collab. It was a great idea. Still time for barbecues out there, but honestly, you can use this any time of the year, and it's delicious. Now, if you're looking for a different type of barbecue sauce, I did do a root beer barbecue sauce a while back, and I will card that up here if you haven't seen it, and I will link to it directly down below. That is delicious. I love that recipe. This one is really good too. I love the tang. I love that little tiny bit of heat in the back of your throat. So good. But if you are looking for barbecue recipes, go check out the other channels participating in this collab down below. Now on to those nutrition facts. This makes about 1.5 cups, depending on how much water you put in. It may make a little more or a little less, but I usually aim for it being 1.5 cups. So this is going to make 12 servings of 2 tablespoons each, which is pretty generous. Now for one serving of this delectable barbecue sauce, it is only going to be one Better Balanced bite or Old Blue Point. I'm not sure on the current WW plan where it falls, but I follow the Healthy Apps Better Balanced plan, which is equivalent to the old WW Blue plan. So those are the bites and points that I give. But I also do give the calories and macros. And for one serving of this, which is 2 tablespoons, it is only going to be 38 calories. And if you are following macros, the fat would be 3.1 grams, the saturated fat would be 0.4 grams, the protein would be 0.7 grams, the carbs would be 2.5 grams, the fiber would be 0.1 grams, and sugars would be 0.7 grams for 2 tablespoons of this delicious barbecue sauce. Now, if you're new here and you came over from another channel, I'd love for you to subscribe and get other recipes like this to help you on a weight loss journey. And if you wouldn't mind commenting down below whose channel you came from, I'd love to give them a big thank you. And if you enjoyed this recipe and this video, I would appreciate you doing the usual: like, subscribe, comment, share, and hit that notification bell for the next time I upload any sort of video such as this one, which is coming up on a Sunday when I don't normally post a video. Although we do have one more collab on the books right now for September that is going to be hosted by me for quick and easy dinner ideas. I figure school's going to be starting. Perfect time to have some quick, easy dinners on the menu. But if you are interested in this recipe, I will link directly to the recipe on my blog down below. Also down there is a link to the blog itself if you're looking for any of my recipes, such as the root beer barbecue sauce, which is delicious. Also down in the description box, you will find, besides the links to the other channels doing this collab, my Amazon storefront, my Built Bar rewards, Fetch rewards, and my social media. If you'd like to follow me over there, I have my Instagram and 3 Facebook groups that I am part of. So check out that description box for all sorts of information. So I think it is time for me to go find a few uses for this delicious barbecue sauce. And I hope you'll be doing the same yourself very soon. So until next time, bye.